I mean, listen, we talking about practice. Not a game, not a game.
If you're looking for the best basketball talk in the universe, you just found it. This is DeepHoops, where fans are the host. Tim Brayboy, Troy Ramel Royal, and me, your point guard, Jehudi. We're talking basketball, all basketball, and nothing but basketball. So sit back and enjoy the best basketball talk in the podcast universe. This is DeepHoops.
Well, this is another episode of DeepHoops. I am the Minister.
And I'm Rob, the Straw.
And I'm Tim.
And we are talking basketball. And you know the funny thing about it, we're in March Madness.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
So we can't just say that we're talking NBA basketball.
Deep
because
hoops.
this is Deep Hoops. We're not just talking basketball. We're talking, we're not just talking NBA, we're talking basketball. So we may interject with some NCAA. And right now, the tournament, my closing comments is on the tournament.
Wow.
So we are going to touch on everything basketball. And let me just say this. If you have a video, if you have something that you want us to discuss that's basketball beyond the NBA, let us know about it. Right now, you're going to see ways that you can communicate with us. We want to hear back from you. This is not a one-way conversation. This is a two-way conversation, and we want to hear from you. So if there's something going on in AAU, high school basketball, I don't care if it's in Jackson, Mississippi, we want to hear about it. And if it's something that we think is relevant, we're going to put it on the show. So, we really talk about basketball, and we want you to be a part of what we're talking about. So, Tim, Ron, are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's get it in.
Here's the funny thing. There's so much going on this week in basketball, and we're going to, of course, deal with the NBA, but we are, as I said, we're going to touch on NCAA. So let's jump in right now. But, as we jump in right now, and this is a remix. I'm doing a remix. Don't talk about UVA. Don't talk about UVA, because that's my closing comments. But what stood out to you in the first couple of days in the NCAA tournaments? We're filming this on Sunday, and it's not over. But Thursday, Friday, Saturday, what stood out to you?
Well, I'm going to tell you something. What stood out to me most of all about the NCAA is that with the one-and-done programs now, there's no clear-cut favorites anymore.
Come on now. Come on, speak.
It's just not. And I'm going to tell you, if you're a fan of this tournament, then it's exciting for you. because you have the UMBCs. You have Buffalo Bulls. I didn't even know there was a University of Buffalo that featured a basketball team.
And they call themselves the Bills?
The Bulls.
Bulls.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
all right.
you had them. Rhode Island. Without it having the luster of yesteryear, where you knew a team was going to come back with the same starting five, at least have it for 2-3 years. This one and done program has leveled the playing field. And I'm going to tell you, I don't care if you're from a small town or you're a major town or a major city, a major school, whatever. But if you have a team that features 3, 4, 5 juniors and seniors, you got a shot of winning this tournament.
And it's funny you should say that, because the mid-majors are now majors. They're no mid-majors.
Right.
And you don't need a Tony Red Bruin, number one recruit in the country.
Right.
Well, I don't know if he was number one, but he's from Ravenswood, so I'm going to say he was number one.
He was number one in our neighborhood.
He was number one in our neighborhood. But you don't have to be a number one recruit to go far in the NCAAs today. Tim, is there anything that stood out to you?
I think the big stat for the weekend. We're in Atlanta. We're based out of Atlanta. South Regional is coming here Thursday. In the history of the tournament, there's never, ever, ever been a season where none of the top 4 seeds have made it to the regional.
Have not made it.
They have not made it to the regional. You're going to have a 5 seed, Kentucky. You're going to have a 7 seed, Nevada. You're going to have an 11 seed. I think you're going to have an 11 seed, a 9 seed Loyola of Chicago. And you're going to have either 11 or a 16 seed, either UMBC or I forgot the other team. But you're going to have 4 teams ranked 5th or lower in a regional.
So no one in the top 4 in the South region.
They're all out.
Wow.
All out. That's the unpredictability of this tournament. And it's going to go like this going forward because, like Ramel said, you have one and dones. You don't know how they're going to react to the bright lights of this tournament.
But, all right, one and dones. But that's in, they're discussing what they're going to do about that. So moving forward, it could change.
It could change.
But for right now, for the foreseeable future, until it changes, what you're saying is true. With the one and dones, we have no idea who's going to, I had tickets, and for another reason, I'm not going to be able to go to the Final Four. I go to the Final Four every year. I'm not going to the Final Four this year. And not saying that I'm not going because a top seed is not going to be there. And honestly, I'd like to go to the Final Four with maybe a 15 or 16 or 13 seed being there. But, for me, it makes it interesting.
Yes. Now, like we were talking off camera, through the network, the CBS, TNT, TBS partners, do they like it? Because, and the reason I say that is because I think most people like the Thursday, Friday, the upset when you're at the sports bar, you sneak out of work and, you get out of work early and you see the upset. But when you get to Sweet 16, this coming Thursday and Friday, everyone wants the brand names. Well, the brand names are out.
Not all of the brand names.
Not all the brand names are out, but North Carolina's out. Michigan State's out. Those are 2.
Arizona's
out.
Virginia's out.
Virginia's out. Those are brand names that people look to, especially
so Rob, honestly, going into the tournament, Virginia was the number 1 overall seed. Did you really see them as a number 1 overall seed or by default?
It's funny you asked that question because I had a conversation with one of my better friends and we was talking about that. I think that with UVA, I didn't expect them to get knocked off in the first round, no. But I felt like UVA didn't have a star player. I don't think they even have a player that's projected to be in the lottery. So I think that they were just a complete team. But in the tournament, we've seen it time and time again. It's either you got to be a dominating team or you got to have somebody who's got a cape on their back that's going to carry you.
Right.
Because we've seen over the years the Danny Mannings, the big dog Glenn Robinson, Carmelo Anthony, Glenn Rice, just to name a few where that one guy just
makes a difference.
Right. But they didn't have that one guy. And unfortunately for them, they played a team that no one had footage on. I mean, UMBC, to me, it sounded like it was a community college.
Was that little dude El DeBarge's nephew?
But here's my question, though. I do have a question, though. And I don't know how to answer it. But does this make the tournament exciting? The fact that you have the one and dones and it levels the playing field? Or does it lose its luster where people don't follow because their team don't have that run?
You know what, Ra? I got to be honest with you. This is the first year that I didn't fill out a bracket. I can't remember the first time I didn't fill out a bracket. And now, I'm kind of wishing that I did fill out a bracket. Even though it would be busted.
Oh, yeah.
It is more intriguing and interesting to me. And I was rooting for UMBC over Virginia.
Wow.
And the reason I was rooting for it, we had never seen it. That makes the tournament, to me, interesting that a 16 finally beat a number 1. Not a number 1, but the overall number 1 seed.
It's incredible.
Now, you know the statistics said that it was going to happen.
Of course.
Because it was 0-135 up to Friday night. So when you looked at the statistics, it was going to happen at some point. No one knew when. But it was going to happen at some point.
All right,
but
so
this is the thing. Real quick. I think when everyone thought it was going to happen, it was going to be on some weird fluky thing where it was a buzzer beater,
but a 20-point,
a couple weird calls, a questionable call here and there, and a buzzer beater. It rims around the rim and then it bounces in and bounces in. But this was a thorough beatdown. It was
a butt whooping.
This was a butt whipping.
20 points.
20 points. This was a butt whipping.
All right, so, and I'm going into my closing comments right now. But here's the thing. You will always remember where you were when you saw the 16 finally beat the number 1.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming at all. It may be good for college basketball. I want to know who picked that game.
No, listen. You know, here's the thing. Here's the thing. We will give you something. It may be like a mug or something. I don't know. We'll give you something. But you've got to show us a legitimate bracket within ESPN or Yahoo or something where your bracket is legitimate. If you show us that you had UMBC beating UVA, Rob will give you something.
I will. I'll give you something.
It won't be a car from his dealership, but he'll give you something.
All right.
Let's get to the NBA because I'm stepping all into my closing comments. So, you know, as we're talking about, and I think this is a great segue, the upsets. Right now, going into the season in the NBA, everyone penciled in the Warriors and the Cavaliers. And right now, let's be honest, the Cavaliers are a 3rd seed, the Warriors are a 2 seed.
With a lot of people hurt.
Yeah, with a lot of people hurt with the Cavaliers, with the Warriors.
Both teams hurt.
But the Cavaliers are going to bring a number of people back.
The Warriors are hurt.
The Warriors are hurt. Do you see a Warriors Cavaliers 4, or if not, I don't want to just hear no. Who do you see in the finals? If it's not Warriors Cavaliers, one of the two, or both of them not in, or one of the two, who do you see in the finals? Tim?
I think it's hard to bet against LeBron. Think about it. Let's look at this. The last time LeBron wasn't playing in June was 2010.
When he was with the Cleveland Cavaliers before he went to Miami, right?
Right, was May 2010. So now we're in 2018. Can I really see LeBron not in the finals? I don't know. I mean, this would be by far his weakest team.
All right, so Tim, before we move to Rob, you're making that comment. Are you saying that's more inconceivable than the Warriors not making it?
No, I could see a scenario where I don't think either one of them are going to make it. I think it's going to be Houston and Boston in the finals.
Now, Boston is hurt.
But I think as long as Kyrie is back for the playoffs, I think Boston...
Okay, all right. I don't want to tap into what you're talking about, but you say as long as Kyrie. But in my opinion, Marcus Smart, I mean, is important, and Kyrie is the most important player on Boston. Marcus Smart is the glue.
He's the glue man. He's the glue that holds the whole thing together.
So how do you have them in the finals?
I think assuming that Smart and Kyrie are back and relatively healthy for the playoffs, for the second round. Once we get into May, I think they'll beat whoever they play in the first round. I think they can handle them without Kyrie and Marcus.
Who's the 7th seed right now?
Who's the 7th seed? I think the 7th seed.
Miami?
No, Miami's the 8th
Miami's
seed.
8.
So it's Milwaukee.
Milwaukee's the 7th seed.
Damn.
So that's a
They're going to need to be healthy.
That's
In the first round, they got to be healthy.
They got to be healthy. Now that you guys say it, they need to be healthy for the first round.
They got to be healthy for the first round.
Because if Milwaukee's healthy, think about it. That's the problem with being hurt late. Is because think about it, Milwaukee. Brogdon will be back. Dellavedova will be back. They'll have all the Parker.
Are we boring you, Ron?
Just got a yawn, man.
Parker will be should be fully integrated into the offense. So Milwaukee should be coming on an up climb, and Boston will be kind of there. But I still think if I had to bet, I would still say Houston and Boston in the finals.
Houston, Boston, Rob.
I definitely don't see Golden State, Cleveland 4. I don't see it at all.
Do you not see either team?
No, I see Golden State meeting Toronto in the finals.
Okay, and that is really realistic.
And I don't see Cleveland at all. I listened to Tim talk about the LeBron factor and the last time he's been there and so forth. All good things come to an end, guys.
Yeah,
one way or another.
Right,
all good things come
right.
to an end. And I look at this team here. It's a team that's more built for the future because it has a lot of young talent that could grow into something. But right now, they're not tested for this environment. You talking about guys like Jordan Clarkson, Larry Nance Jr., they've never been there before. Tristan Thompson is not the same, so we can't go with his experience. Kevin Love, he's about the only one that you can give credit to right now. George Hill has been a no-show. J.R. Smith has been erratic. Jeff Green, he's been consistent, but how many minutes is he actually playing? Kyle Korver comes and go. I just don't like this team going far at all. I actually think that they get bounced probably in the second round, and depending on who they face in the first round, they could be challenged.
Who was your teams?
Houston and Boston.
Houston and Boston.
So
do you not give Houston any shot?
I don't like Houston's chances, and I'll tell you why I don't like him. 2 reasons only. Well, 3 for that matter. 1, D'Antoni's got to prove himself in the month of May. 2, James Harden and both Chris Paul, they have to play without a necktie on because they choke in the playoffs. And then number 3, I just think that in a 7-game series, defense is required. And I don't know if this team can play defense for 7 games. It's probably D'Antoni's best defensive team, but that doesn't say a lot because he doesn't ever have
Wait a minute. I got it.
Go ahead,
I got to interject. Now, we do know this is a top 5 defensive
team right now.
Right, but you
finish.
can't go on. Wait a minute. Rob, you can't go on what he did with Phoenix.
Well,
now, because the Phoenix team was a top 15 defensive team, and it was a little bit, the era was
But those
different.
numbers are misleading.
Right, the
Because
era
here's what happened.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to talk their top 5 defensive team. But on a game in, game night, one game here, one game in, that doesn't say enough when it's a playoff tested where you got to go 7 games in a row with the same team. I don't think they have the defensive studs to do so. I think Houston's best defense is their best offense. Ariza is sliding.
Capella?
Ariza's sliding down.
Defensively?
Capella may not be a factor if they're facing Golden State when they got to go small. So the thing is,
I think if I'm D'Antoni, I keep Capella out there.
Yeah, but here's the thing: when Golden State goes to Draymond Green at the 5, that's going to push PJ Tucker to the 5. I don't think they're going to be as defensive as you think. On a given day, any night, coming in here, going over there, yeah, they may look good defensively, but in a series, they don't play that defense, man.
Ooh,
they don't play that defense.
I'll tell you this. I think that the death lineup?
The death lineup hasn't been
not
good this
the
year.
death lineup
It's
is not the
been
death
good.
lineup from
It
previous.
hasn't been good this
So if
year.
you're going to go from previous and look at what's happening now, previously the death lineup was great. It's not anymore. And I think Houston, listen, I'm not picking Houston.
I'm not picking.
I never go against Golden State. They have 3 studs, but what's going on with Curry's ankles? What's up with
Clay's thumb?
Clay's thumb?
Durant's rib.
I'm not worried about Durant's rib.
Here's the thing,
I'm not worried about
Here's
Durant's rib.
Here's the thing. Golden State is not playing for nothing right now. Worst case scenario, they're the number 2 seed. If somehow or another they fall to the number 3 seed and they're healthy come playoff time, because playoffs is really what, 6 weeks from now?
No, you only the playoffs are 4 weeks from now. You only have 14 games left in the season.
All right, so 4 weeks from now is the playoffs. They'll be healthy then. Who's beating them? That's 5, 6, 7, 8 seed. No one. Whether they finish 2 or 3, who's beating them 6, 7?
Yeah, but you know what? I will say this, and we're going to come to a break. Golden State is not healthy now. And Golden State is the odds-on favorite.
And they will be healthy.
But and they will be healthy, somewhat healthy. We'll see. I just can't count Houston out the way that they're playing right now.
Well, I tell you where Houston lies with me to represent the West. And you heard it here first. Golden State, OKC, Portland, then Houston.
So you're saying Houston is the 4th best team to represent the West? No, to
represent
represent the West.
They come in 4th to represent the West. Yes.
I don't know if you have a straw out there, but the straw just stirred the drink, and we'll be right back. So, Ron, we're going to start with you since you had the straw out. Where's your straw? You're not stirring any drinks anymore?
He's stirring them.
He's stirring them. So let me ask you this. The question going into the offseason is, where's LeBron going? Here's my question. Is LeBron going anywhere? And if he does go somewhere, what do you think is the best? What do you think is the best fit for LeBron?
Hey, I caught some flack on this a couple of weeks back on one of our shows. I had someone question me about it, and I said that if LeBron leaves Cleveland, he would wind up in Minnesota to play with his buddy Jimmy Butler. And I'm not going to waver from that. I still think that's a legitimate situation. Maybe you trade Wiggins for him. But my new destination for LeBron, because I know he's leaving Cleveland. I don't see him coming back. His new destination, and I think it's a perfect fit for him. I don't know how they make it work. They probably have to give up something. But if they don't touch the backcourt, I like to see LeBron in Portland. I think that if he can play in Portland, along with that backcourt of C.J. McCollum and Dame, I think he can get back to the finals in the Western Conference.
I just don't see Portland.
I have a comment to that, but Tim, where do you see him going?
I say it's either Cleveland or L.A. It's where the Lakers or Cleveland. I think he either stays in, and I think everything really depends on April, May, and June. What happens with the rest of the season going into the playoffs? Let's just say Cleveland gets to the finals and they win it. Just say they don't play Golden State. It's not Golden State at the end of the rainbow. It's Houston. They beat Houston. He's definitely staying. I think he signs a 5-year deal and he winds his career down with the Cavs. If they get knocked out early, like you said, then all bets are off. Does he go? Does Houston lose to Golden State in the conference finals and they need one extra piece, and then they jettison Ryan Anderson and Trevor Ariza to make space for LeBron, or they jettison two out of the three. It's either going to be Bledsoe, not Bledsoe, but Eric Gordon, Ryan Anderson, or Trevor Ariza. Do they jettison 2 out of those 3 to fit LeBron in? Now, that's 3 ball handlers. That's 3 ball dominant players playing on one team. Does it work? Can D'Antoni make it work? The speed, because LeBron kind of likes to play slow. Can they make it work? I think so. I think it's Cleveland, Lakers, and your dark horse is Houston, and your dark horse is San Antonio. I think because him and Pop has this, they have this love affair that they really respect each other. Now, does San Antonio, can they make this thing work? Can they make it work with Kawhi? Can they get Kawhi back? And can they clear out enough cap space to make all the pieces work? And you're gonna be in the West, and you would need LeBron and Kawhi, a healthy Kawhi, and you need one more piece. Do you have to trade LaMarcus Aldridge? Can it be where you get rid of Danny Green and Tony Parker walks and Ginobili walks? Will that be enough? And can you bring in another point guard that will kind of make it work? So it's going to be real interesting. But I say my top four would be Cleveland 1, Lakers 2, Houston 3, and then 4-5 would be Houston and Philly.
Philly. All right. I don't see him going to the Lakers. And I would be upset with Magic Johnson if he brought him to the Lakers.
Why?
You have a 2-year solution for a long-term, and what you need to do is build a long-term solution. And LeBron, at best, is a year, 2 years, and that's all he's going to commit to. And I just don't see him winning a title with the Lakers in the first 2 years. And anything beyond that, it's a waste of time. Because especially with next year, with all of the free agents that are opening up, I don't see, if Magic is the basketball mind that I think that he is, I would not waste that money on LeBron right now.
I agree.
Now.
I agree.
I don't see him going to Portland either, though. And here's why. I don't think Terry Stotts is the offensive mind to bring all three of those players together. I just don't see it. I get it in theory. You know, McCollum, when you look at just names, McCollum, what's my man's name? Lillard and LeBron. That sounds great, but all the players moving that ball and moving it around, I just don't see Stotts as the coach making that happen. And LeBron is so dominant where he goes and making sure that everything is the way that he wants it to be. I think there's going to be some turmoil in the locker room. So, now, I think the person that can make it all work, and he has a buddy on that team, Houston, I think with Chris Paul, I think he would defer enough to Chris Paul and James Harden with enough respect to make that happen. And I hate D'Antoni. No, I shouldn't say hate. I'm not a big D'Antoni fan. But from an offensive mindset and a genius, D'Antoni can make that happen. I don't see him going to San Antonio either because, Kawhi Leonard is not even committing. And without Kawhi Leonard being there, I don't see him doing anything, even with Pop there. So I think it's realistically, I don't see him staying in Cleveland.
Let me ask you guys a question because this is very important. And although LeBron holds all the cards, but somewhat Dan Gilbert holds the cards. You might say, how does he hold the cards? Well, here's what happened. Let's say LeBron says, I'm going to Houston. Okay? Houston has to clear way for him. So, Capella is a free agent. Are they re-signing him?
Yes.
They're re-signing him. They couldn't trade Ryan Anderson to make room for Carmelo. Are they willing to trade Eric Gordon? Now, James Harden is the MVP. But this team is not where it is if it's not for Eric Gordon. Eric Gordon is the reigning sixth man of the year. He's about to be sixth man of the year again, possibly. And they need that production off the bench. So my question to you is this. Eric Gordon, Ryan Anderson probably has to be traded. You may have a chance to trade Eric Gordon to Philly for a draft pick. But do you have a chance to trade Ryan Anderson? My next question is this. I don't think so. Now, here's the thing. this is where Gilbert comes in and holds all the cards. If LeBron wants to orchestrate a sign and trade, does Gilbert participate in? Because what happens, right now, Gilbert is playing the luxury tax for a team he's expecting to go deep in the tournament. But whoever he gets back in exchange for LeBron will keep him in the luxury tax, but they're not expected to go deep into the playoffs. So are you, Gilbert, if you're Gilbert as the owner, are you willing to take back mediocre players and be forced to pay the luxury tax and you don't even make the playoffs?
2 points. If LeBron goes to Houston,
It's got to be a sign and trade at this point.
even if it's a sign and trade, and you get rid of Gordon and you get rid of
Ryan Anderson.
I say it's going to be. It's not going to be Anderson and Gordon. It'll be Ariza and Gordon.
Well, here's my point.
Does Cleveland take it back?
Ariza is coming off the bench, and he's going to be your firepower, not offensively, defensively, and he gives you enough offense off the bench. He's the one that I would not give up.
Okay. Again, who's taking Ryan Anderson? Will
With
Cleveland,
that contract,
right?
you said.
So my thing is this: unless Gilbert agrees to a sign and trade for Ryan
But
Anderson, and
isn't
Eric Gordon,
LeBron a free agent?
he's a free agent, but Houston don't have the cap
They don't
space.
have the cap
Where
space.
the two teams he can walk to, and Gilbert has nothing to do with, Philly and LA. LeBron can just walk right to their locker room and pick out a locker.
And hence the LA option. I mean, the Philly option.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that he doesn't go to Philly. But doggone it, if he goes to Philly.
Now think about it. His crew, a lot of those guys are that Rich Paul. Those are 2 or 3 of those guys are clutch. Rich
players,
Paul.
right?
Right. So he's comfortable, and he will have intel to how Philly operates. And Philly is everybody. They were the laughing stock, but they're the new millennium type of team where they're doing things differently. The eating everything is for the 21st century going.
And we got to get to a break, but let me just say this. My problem, which has been my problem with LeBron all along, wherever he goes, you're going to see a shift in the offense. And the only one that I think could really shift the offense where everyone is going to be happy is D'Antoni in Houston. Because he's going to change the way Philly looks. He's going to change the way everyone looks. People say that LeBron makes people play better. No, he doesn't. No, he makes the game easier, but he doesn't make a player better. So he's going to make Embiid look different. He's going to make Simmons look different. He would change the team, and we'll be right back.
But think about it. Okay, Philly and the Lakers have been down for years. So let's look at this.
All
right, let's look at this. Both been down for years. Philly longer than the Lakers, but the Lakers are a star-driven city. That's a star-driven
2-year star.
But I don't care.
No, you know what? That's the Mets philosophy.
But
and that's why the Mets suck.
But I'm not saying. But
they get Willie Mays.
But LeBron isn't Willie Mays. On offense, he's Willie Mays in the regular season. I think he'll crank it up in the playoffs.
I don't know.
But I think in the offense, his offense is. I don't think he's better than ever on offense.
Well, he's trying more than ever.
Two of the brightest young stars in this game. Two of the brightest, and there's many of them. As we always say, there's stars on deck. But you got Lonzo Ball and you got Ben Simmons, and you don't need LeBron stunting their growth.
Stifling their growth. No,
it's easy to say that,
but you don't need it.
But let's
right now, you talk about the Lakers is a star driven. The Lakers still sell out every game.
Right.
Philly right now, we can't buy a ticket anymore
because I think the thing with the Lakers,
they don't need them. They don't need them.
They know the Lakers always get who they want. And until these last 3 or 4 years,
I
the Lakers have always got.
And they're going to be able to get back to that. They're going to be able to get back to that.
The thing, they brought in Magic to get.
But it doesn't have to be LeBron, is what I'm saying, man.
LeBron
is a temporary. It's a Band-Aid when you need surgery.
It's interesting.
And you know, when you put a Band-Aid on where you need surgery, long term you're going to be worse off than where you should be. Don't put a Band-Aid on where I need surgery. Give me surgery.
The biggest hit that the Lakers took right now is DeMarcus Cousins getting injured. Because that's the player, and somebody like Klay Thompson or Kawhi Leonard. Those are the two players.
And you know me. I've said about DeMarcus.
You don't like Boogie.
I don't. It's not that I don't like him. I don't think he's the solution. I think next year you have players that are from the LA market. Kawhi, Klay. Why am I going to bring LeBron on? And he's
You're
long
not
in the
turning
tooth.
down LeBron.
No. At this point,
LeBron.
I've turned down LeBron.
You're not
2
turning.
years ago, you turned down LeBron.
You all are starting to drink. Oh my God!
No.
Where the straw? Producer, cameraman, can we get some straws in here? They just turned. They started.
If I'm LA and I'm Philly, I'm
then
saying
you're not
no
turning.
to
If LeBron says he wants
I
to go,
will not take LeBron if I'm LA or Philly.
oh, you guys are.
Philly, maybe.
Not even Philly.
Philly, maybe.
Here's the thing: LeBron plays best with people with shooters around.
Right.
There's no shooters in Philly.
Right.
There's none.
So you have to
There's not one.
You're gonna resign.
So
You're
now-
gonna resign Reddick.
But
You
here's
gotta
the thing.
resign
If you
Reddick.
pay-
Now you got to pay him.
But if you pay him $40 million, $40 million, how much money you got left?
You got to resign Reddick.
No,
You don't have his bird
yo,
right.
Tim, and you don't hate to say it, but your lips are on his balls.
My lips are not on his
You got
balls.
ball lips. You got ball
I
lips.
said his offense is aging like fine wine. His defense
No,
is
his offense is aging.
like fine wine.
His
defense
offense is aging.
horrible.
2 years from now.
I wouldn't touch him. If I'm Houston, Portland, Minnesota,
Where does Portland come in from?
I'll take a chance.
I like the Portland, but I just don't like the coach and I don't like the
I'll take
atmosphere.
the chance. But on those two young
Right, I'll
dudes,
take the chance with Portland.
Yeah, those two young
I take the chance, even though I don't like it. I take the chance.
Yeah.
I wouldn't take it with Philly. All right, let's go. So as we've looked at the NCAA and the team from TNT going over to the NCAA tournament, I think you came up with the subject.
Yeah.
It made you think, it made me think, it made us think, in the NBA, who's your top studio analyst, studio team, and your top NBA play-by-play team? Because I know if I'm not, here's the funny thing, the NCAA is compelling, but without the announcers and the studio show, and I love Isaiah, but it's different watching TNT
Without them. Without Kenny.
I mean, come on. So I think we have a general consensus on who's the best studio show.
That's easy.
That's easy, but let's say it. Who's the best studio show, and who is your best 1-2 NBA play-by-play team? Tim?
I like.
Let's start with the studio.
Let's start with studio. That's easy. It's EJ, the point man, Ernie Johnson. Then you got Shaq. Then you got Kenny. Then you got Charles.
But let me ask you a question. With Paul Pierce, he's transformed what ESPN is doing.
Right, they're good, but
No. But he's transformed.
They're good, but
Very good.
But the thing that takes TNT over the top is they can play all roles, and it's because Ernie is the perfect straight man.
Oh yeah.
Ernie Johnson may be one of the greatest.
Who would you put? All right. So let me phrase the question differently. If you're saying it's the point person, Who would you put? Because Beadle is the
Michelle Beadle is,
and she's about to go on the show with Greeny.
right.
So let's take her out. Who would you put in ESPN's place to replace Beadle?
Michelle Beadle. I always said Rachel Nichols because Rachel Nichols is the female counterpart to Ernie. Where I think it's being able to play both roles, where you could play the straight person. You know, Ernie's a straight man; she would be the straight woman. But you could be the funny, but you could play the serious when the topic needs to be serious. You could play serious. That's what makes the show. Ernie holds everything together. Where they could go off on a tangent, they could go way off in left
and
field,
he could bring them back.
and he could reel it back in and reel it back into where it's supposed to be. That's what makes a difference between their show and everyone else's show. And you can tell when it's them three, when it's Shaq and Charles and Kenny, but Ernie isn't there, you can tell the show's good, but it ain't the same. That's the difference. Ernie makes the whole show. As far as play-by-play and analysts, I still like. I love to hear Mark Jones and Uncle Hubie. I always call him Uncle Hubie because he old. Like he like Uncle Vernie on SEC on CBS. Old kind of folksy. But Hubie could break that. He can still break it down. At 85 years old, he could break it down. He can kind of show you what's going on. I used to love, the best to me was always Kevin Harlan and Doug Collins. Anything with Doug Collins was great because, especially in the Jordan years, because he could see everything going on. He knew every play that Chicago ran, and he could see it like 4 plays before they ran it. Oh, he was tremendous. But for now, I love to hear Hubie Brown and Mark Jones. I think Van Gundy and Mark Jackson and Breen can be good, but they go off on a tangent too much. They still talking about the refs and the refs going back and forth. I'm like, okay, we talked about this, we talked about this. Let's talk about something else. Now, when it's hype, I always love to hear Kevin Harlan. But he hasn't had I don't like Reggie Miller, so he hasn't had a great analyst to work with him. But those would be my top
Going
guys.
along, baby. You going along. You Hubie Browning. Who do you have, Rob?
Hey, when I think about the TNT crew, I look at them as like Floyd Mayweather and Larry Holmes. They just was reigning champs for so many years that you just instantly plugged them in. But I'm here to tell you, I think ESPN is taking them over. And if ESPN would consistently, here's the thing, if ESPN would consistently put the crew together, because it's not always Jalen, Paul Pierce, and Chauncey Billups, or it's not always Jalen, Paul Pierce, and Tracy McGrady. But if they would figure out either put all 4 of them on there with a host, or 3 of them consistently with the host, they definitely will blow TNT out the
Blow!
And let me explain why. Ernie is great. There's no substitute for Ernie. Kenny Smith is the analyst when it comes down to breaking down the game, giving you insight, and just talking about the game. Charles Barkley is overhyped. He just brings the humor. Shaq, he tries to be a baby Barkley. He don't bring enough insight to the game. But when I listen to Paul Pierce, Jalen Rose, Chauncey Billups, they give you nothing but insight. It's like they went to the Hubie Brown school. When I'm listening to the game and I'm listening to the play-by-play, Mark Jackson, Mike Breen, and Jeff Van Gundy, they're equivalent to the TNT crew. They give you a little insight, but they just give you so much humor. You look forward to listening to that game because you're going to get a little bit of everything. That's what TNT does. But if you want to get the analytics of the game or the insight of the game, ESPN brings it to you. And as far as if I'm looking for just that aspect of the game, give me Chris Webber and Kevin Harlan doing a game together. Kevin Harlan gives you the energy, he gives you the, oh, look at that. He brings that excitement. Chris Webber's breaking it down. He's breaking it down. Play by play, he's giving you that insight. I don't like Webber when he's hosting, But when he's
players only.
So he's not good on players only.
But when he's on the game and he's breaking it down, he's outstanding.
All right.
He's outstanding.
All right. I think that this is my lane. I never argue or debate you or challenge either one of you on the court. But with announcers, this is my lane. And I'm going to say this. Not saying that it's absolute, but this is my thoughts. There is no other team like the TNT team on studio. Period. And I get you with Shaq. Shaq, I mean, I love Shaq, but he doesn't really bring
nothing.
He brings nothing. Charles brings humor. Charles brings insight. You may not agree with it, but he brings an opinion. And Kenny is one of the best analysts.
I agree with Kenny.
And without a doubt, Ernie is the best. Now, if I were to reconstruct ESPN, I'd make two moves. I say Beadle and Rose, thank you very much. Go with Greenberg on the morning show. I would bring Van Pelt, and I would bring Greg Anthony, and then you would have the best studio show in the business. If you brought Greg Anthony on ESPN, would they let him go, which was stupid, and you have Pierce and Chauncey Billups, and you have Van Pelt. Now, he ain't coming. But if he was to say, I'd sign on, man, they would rival TNT.
I still go with ESPN right now.
No,
like I
no.
said,
Beadle
is just a reigning champion.
Beadle and Rose.
ESPN is coming.
Beadle and Rose make that week.
ESPN is coming.
Beadle and Rose, and I love Rose, but Beadle and Rose, and here's the deal with Rose. He'll make a comment, and he'll look at the other guys to see what they think. Yo, man, I ain't got to worry about what you think. Watch him. He'll go like, and so, and then he'll look at them. No, make your comment and stand by your comment.
That's the point guard in him.
Yeah, you know what? A point guard is going to pass the ball and say, shoot the damn ball.
ESPN is coming.
It's coming.
Their team,
Van Pelt,
they're taking over.
Van Pelt.
You heard it here first.
Van Pelt and Anthony.
Straw.
Van Pelt and Anthony, or if they're not going to try to get Isaiah, and I think Isaiah is right where he needs to be. Van Pelt and Anthony. But how about Isaiah and what's my boy's name?
Sam Mitchell.
Come on now. Sam Mitchell. And then me personally, when I watch Breen, Van Gundy, and Jackson, I don't care what you say. They give you enough basketball, but enough entertainment. Yeah. And it is the entertainment industry, and that's what I like. Yeah. That's my opinion, and we'll be right back. You know, it's always good to have Tim Brayboy. I mean, you know, he's been in China for a long time, but to have him back adds another element to the show. What do you think?
Yeah, he got me balling a little bit. I mean, he got a little spirited in here, man. We need to get him out here so we can hear his closing comments. You know?
He ain't a closer, though. He's a 1 through 3 quarters. Fourth quarter, he shuts down.
He's the old LeBron. Huh?
Exactly, the old LeBron, exactly. But we are at the closing comments. And let me just say this. We didn't do a weekly review or preview because we are so smack dab in the middle of the NCAAs. And so I think it would be cheating the NCAAs to do that. Because, first of all, I don't know about you. My attention has been on the NCAAs. So to talk about what happened in the NBA or what's happening in the NBA, we're going to let the NCAAs play through, and then we'll come back to a preview and a review of the NBA. But what we will not deny you of is the closing comments. So, Rob, what are your closing comments?
Well, I want to start off. I want to walk you through the dog days of September. In Major League Baseball, September 1st comes along. You have what they call minor league call-ups. You can extend your roster. It gives you an opportunity to look at some of your minor league players that could be your future stars. I have no problem with that. Especially for those teams that does not have a shot to be in the playoffs. So they get a chance to bring up players from their farm system, and they play these young players. Not once do you hear any fans or execs of the baseball, Major League Baseball world talk about their tanking. But in the NBA, when a team has no chance of making the playoffs, and now in the first year of two-way contracts of players that can play 45 days in the NBA as a two-way player from the G League, they're brought up, and now they're getting playing time, and everybody's crying they're tanking. Now, I'm a fan of the game. I have passion for the game. I'm not in favor of tanking. And when an individual like Cuban says that his team are better off losing, or Philly comes out and says we're going to be bad for 5 years, trust the process, or when Chicago has healthy players that are not dressing up, no, I'm not in favor of that. But if a team wants to look at some young players and give them quality minutes because their team is out of the playoffs, you shouldn't be crying they're tanking. It should be part of the business. They're young players. We need to see if they're part of the future. We need to see if they're ready for the big moment. Why is it considered tanking just because a team that's out of the playoffs wants to play young players? This happens every year in this month of September in Major League Baseball, and nobody cries anything. But yet, in the NBA, it's a foul. It's not tanking. It is called, let me see what my young players are about. And to the Chicago Bulls, dress Robin Lopez. Play him for 15 minutes. Don't just keep him, alienate him. Mark Cuban, if you feel it's to the best interest of your team to lose games, keep your mouth closed. Just be quiet about it. But it's not tanking if teams like New York wants to look at young players. Why does the NBA always have to get a bad rap or have a target on their back for something? It happens every year in baseball. That's my closing comment.
You know, Mark Cuban put a target on his back and had a bad month and a half with everything that he did, with everything that's going on. But, I think the biggest thing is don't say you're tanking. Like you said, just you're looking at young players.
How about this? Shut up and own the team.
Shut up and own the team. Stop being a politician. Shut up and own the team. My comments, normally we talk about the NBA, but we're in the NCAA right now. And we had something happen that was reminiscent to the biggest upset in sports history. Not basketball, not NCAA, in sports history. As I was watching UVA and their loss to University of Maryland, Baltimore County, and I was with my brothers in Charlotte watching that game, and they was like, who is UMBC? Only because I lived in Baltimore for a year, I said, that must be University of Maryland, Baltimore County. But my point is, no one knew who they were. I think that was one of the biggest Googles of the night. Who is UMBC? And not only did a 16 beat a 1, but a 16 beat the 1 that was the overall number 1 in the tournament.
Wow.
That is the biggest upset, one of the biggest upsets in sports history. As I was watching it with my brothers in Charlotte, I looked at them and I said two things. I said, this if this holds up, is going to be the equivalent of Buster Douglas beating Mike Tyson. Now, later on, ESPN also used that, and they used the USA against Russia in hockey in the Olympics. I'm from the projects. I don't know anything about USA and Olympics and hockey.
What was that, 19?
I have no idea what year it was.
February.
1980 February. It could have been 1976. I have no idea.
Could have been yesterday.
It could have been yesterday. I'm a brother from the projects. That was equivalent to Buster Douglas beating Mike Tyson. But I also said to them, I can remember every piece of Buster Douglas beating Mike Tyson. It was on All-Star Saturday night.
That's right.
And we didn't even watch. Me and the guys that I was with weren't watching the fight.
I was watching All-Star.
We were watching All-Star Saturday night and clicking back over. And at some point, we looked at the fight and was like, hey,
Keep it here.
this is going to be a fight. And that's what we said when we were watching on Friday night with UMBC against UVA. It was an upset. And I'm going to tell you this. I guarantee you, when people say, who was the first 16th seed to beat a 1 seed in the NCAA, you're going to remember where you were when you watched it. I know for sure I'm going to remember that I was in Charlotte in the Renaissance Hotel in South Park, Charlotte, watching that game in the hotel lobby. Watching that game because we were there to help my cousin move. Crazy, right?
Yeah.
But I will never forget it. Me, my brother Keith, my brother Roderick, and my son Deuce, and his friend, Sabanaka, I can't remember his name. I won't remember that. But I will remember where I was, and so will you. A 16 seed beat the number 1 seed. Not just the number 1 seed.
The overall.
The overall number 1 seed in the NCAA NCAA tournament. Man, if this tournament is not a tournament to watch, North Carolina went down, Arizona's going down, and there was another team tonight that went
Michigan State
down. Michigan
went down.
State went down. So if you're not watching the tournament, then you're just an NBA fan, and DeepHoops is not really for you. Because DeepHoops is about basketball, period. Actually, DeepHoops is about sports, period. But we talk about the game that we love, basketball. Continue to watch the NCAA tournaments because a 16 beat a number 1. And as Tim said, in the South region, coming to Atlanta, there's not going to be a top 4 team. In that region.
Wow.
It's big. It's happening. And we need to say, you know what? The one and dones, y'all are done. Y'all are done. Players that have veterans on the team are winning. And UMBC, hats off to you. I don't know what you're going to do tonight because y'all playing right now. I don't know what you're going to do tonight, but hats off to you for being the first 16 to be the number 1. And that's my closing comments. For Tim Brayboy,
Rob,
and I'm the minister, we always tell you, we're not experts, but we're passionate fans talking about the game we love. Not just NBA basketball, but basketball in general. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time right here on DeepHoops. Peace.